Hi, it's good to be with you again today. I trust you are doing well. Today I want to talk about a topic that probably has some significance to all of us at some level, the matter of control. In recent months, we have all been bombarded with media following what's been happening in the United States of America. We have watched various parties attempting to control the outcome of an election. And without getting too far into it, I would say even the church has played a role in trying to determine a particular outcome of an election, be it good or bad. We don't have time in a podcast to deal with that issue. But control is not a new issue. I think back to Jesus and his interaction with the disciples, and I always like to look to Christ and see, how these subjects played out in his particular arena. In Luke chapter 8, we see Jesus at the end of a day just saying to his disciples, let's get into your boat and go to the other side of the lake. And of course, when he got in, he was tired. He'd been ministering all day. And so he led down and was intending to have a sleep on the way across. The Bible tells us that a violent wind came, and if you are familiar with the geography of that area, I've been there a few times. It's the Sea of Galilee sits sort of in a bowl, and when the wind comes over the mountains of the region, it can stir up quite a sea. And the disciples became fearful for their lives. I know what that's like. A few years ago, my brother-in-law took me out in late November to shoot some turs, which is a common sport on the east coast of Newfoundland. And it was quite a wind on in the morning and a sea from the recent days, the winds that had been on. And within 30 minutes, I was quite fearful for my life. And he was very comfortable on the sea, but after a while I could even see fear creeping into his eyes, and he decided to head back in. I was thankful to God that he did, and I decided that day that I would trust to my friends to bring me tours from there on. I never put my life at risk like that again. I didn't have Jesus in the back of my boat to call up to still the winds and the sea. That day the disciples cried out to Jesus, and he stood up. And he did speak to the winds, and the scripture tells us that the sea became calm. And then he said to them, you have so little faith. Well, I'm thinking, that's all right for you, Jesus. You have authority over this. Well, I know we also have some authority sometimes that we don't exert. And it's often because of our lack of faith. But that's a topic for another podcast as well. Here we see oftentimes in Jesus' life and his interactions with the disciples episodes of where they tried to control a situation. We see, of course, in John chapter 6, where a group of people tried to control political agenda for Christ. They wanted to make him king, and they planned, and he had to escape from them because they were trying to make him their king, and it wasn't his time. In Luke chapter 9, we read of the disciples trying to stop people from doing ministry. It says in verse 49, John replied, Master, we saw someone throwing out demons in your name, and we tried to stop him because he isn't in our group of followers. But Jesus said, don't stop him. Whoever isn't against you is for you. We try control outcomes. We try control political processes. We try to control people around us. We don't have young children anymore. My wife and I have adult children, and there are circumstances in all of our lives and in their lives at times which we would like to be able to control the outcome. And we can get pretty wound up, pretty stressed and anxious over fearful over what the outcome of certain incidents or situations could be in the lives of our family, our friends, our own lives. This pandemic has sure tested all of us on that level. And so how do we control things? How do we somehow create such dynamics that circumstances turn out favorable toward us so that we can live quiet and peaceful lives? Well, there's a verse of scripture in Psalm 46 and 10. And the psalmist said, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. We know there's even a prophetic element there because the scripture is referring to the time when Christ will actually set up his kingdom in the earth, and people will exalt him from every political arena, every power base on earth will exalt Christ. But here, the emphasis again is on being still, being restful. You and I who have placed our faith in Jesus Christ, we can rest assured that God is for us. The Bible again says, and I don't remember the text right off, that he will not see the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. As we live right, as we honor God, as we seek his word and his will for our lives, as we put our trust daily in him, then we can be confident, we can rest in the fact that God is in control, which means I can face any situation, any of the things that appear to be out of control right now in my life. I can rest in the midst of that. I can rest in the midst of the storm and know that God has my best interests at heart. Hundreds of times at this point in my life, I can look back and see where, there has been so many situations when I didn't have any control. But I have learned, my wife and I, Rhoda and I, we have learned to place things constantly in God's hands and saying, God, whatever the outcome is, give us the strength, give us the grace to be able to accept the things we cannot change, and to rest in you, knowing, God, you're working every aspect of our lives together for our good and for your glory. Father, I just pray for anyone who is viewing this today right now, have a sense that, wow, my life is out of control. May they realize that although their lives may seem out of control for them, as they lean into you, as they place their hope and their trust and their confidence in you, Lord, that they can be assured that you have everything under control and that you will be exalted among the nations and you will be exalted in the earth. You will be exalted in their situation. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of the week.